The screech of tires on gravel shatters a peaceful morning in Wyoming as dark SUVs encircle a remote cabin. Inside, 17-year-old Ethan Carter has exactly 47 seconds before the Serrano cartel makes the worst mistake in their bloody history. They believe they're about to secure an easy ransom, exploiting an old man and his grandson. What they don't realize is that the hands that split firewood and mend fences once orchestrated covert operations that toppled regimes. They don't know that Everett Carter built his quiet retirement on the wreckage of those who underestimated him. But they're about to find out. What follows will send shockwaves through the most ruthless criminal empire in the Rockies. Ethan, already on alert from weeks of subtle signs, moves fast. His grandfather doesn't waste words. Safe room, now. Ethan hesitates for half a second, his instincts screaming at him to fight. But Everett's voice, steady and sharp, cuts through his indecision like a blade. He vanishes into a concealed space beneath the floorboards, pressing his back against the cool earth as he listens to the chaos above. Everett moves with the practiced efficiency of a man who has done this more times than he can count. He retrieves a well-worn pistol from its hiding place behind a bookshelf, eyes cold and unreadable. The first cartel soldier kicks open the door, and Everett Carter does what he does best. Gunfire erupts, a deafening crack that echoes through the cabin. The first man drops before he has a chance to react. The second barely lifts his rifle before Everett's bullet finds his chest. The third lunges forward, but Everett shifts, sidestepping the attack and driving the butt of his pistol into the man's throat. He collapses, choking on his own breath. Outside, the SUVs screech into reverse, tires spitting gravel. One vehicle explodes, a fiery bloom rising into the sky. Everett had anticipated their approach and rigged the driveway with a remote detonated charge. The cartel vastly underestimated their target. Everett knew this day was coming, and he made sure he was ready. By the time the survivors retreat, leaving their dead behind, Ethan emerges from his hiding place, breathless but steady. His grandfather, calm as ever, reloads his weapon with methodical precision. We need to move. Now. They escape through a hidden tunnel leading to the dense forest behind the cabin. Everett's old contacts are still in play, and within hours, encrypted messages are sent, codes exchanged and debts called in. By nightfall, a team of ghosts, men who should be long retired, whose names were never meant to be known, begin converging. This isn't just about survival, it's about erasing the threat before it festers. 3 states away, Antonio Serrano, the cartel's head, watches security footage from the botched operation. He recognizes Everett. His face darkens. Send a message, he orders. Find out who else is in play. Ethan struggles to process everything. His grandfather isn't just a tough old rancher, he's something else entirely. The past 24 hours shattered any illusions he had about their quiet life. What did you do before this? He finally asks, as they drive through back roads toward a safe house. Everett doesn't answer immediately. Then, after a long silence, he says, I kept people safe. Now, I keep you safe. In a secured location outside Boise, the team gathers. Matthew Bear Bishop, a towering figure with a history in special ops, nods at Everett. Didn't think I'd be seeing you like this again. Everett's expression is unreadable. Wish you weren't. Bear lays out intel. Serrano's got a reach bigger than we thought. He's not just running drugs. He's got politicians, law enforcement, even a few 3-letter agencies in his pocket. We don't just need to hit back, we need to break him. Ethan absorbs everything, staying silent but listening. He realizes now why his grandfather trained him the way he did. The early morning runs, the shooting drills, the hand-to-hand combat, all of it had been preparing him for something he hadn't seen coming. While Everett and Bear plan their next move, Ethan and Rachel, a former field medic turned intelligence officer, analyze intercepted communications. Ethan notices something. There's a shipment moving tomorrow night. High security, unusual route. Rachel glances at him. Serrano's getting nervous. He's consolidating power. Everett studies the details. Then we'll take it from him. That night, as the convoy carrying Serrano's shipment moves through a canyon road, shadows descend. Everett's team strikes with surgical precision. Explosions disable vehicles. Gunfire flashes in the darkness. By the time the dust settles, the shipment, millions in weapons and cash, is gone. A message is left behind. You started this. We'll finish it. The retaliation is swift. Law enforcement raids the safe house, but the team is gone, having anticipated the move. Ethan watches from a distance as federal agents comb through the empty hideout. They're not after justice, he realizes. They're covering for him. Everett nods. Welcome to the real world. Meanwhile, in Mexico, Serrano grows impatient. Enough games, he tells his enforcers. Find his weakness. That weakness is Ethan. And Serrano makes his move. 2 days later, Ethan is grabbed off the street outside a gas station in Montana. He fights hard, but he's outnumbered, drugged, and thrown into a vehicle. His head slams against the seat as they speed away, rough hands keeping him restrained. The last thing he hears before darkness takes him is the sound of his own heartbeat, drumming wildly in his ears. Hours later, he wakes in a dark, cold cell. His wrists are zip-tied, his face aching from the struggle. A single light flickers above, casting long shadows on the damp concrete walls. A voice crackles through a speaker in the ceiling. You don't know me, but I know you, Ethan. Your grandfather is a problem. Tell me how we make this stop. Ethan doesn't answer. Instead, he counts breaths, listens, observes. He remembers everything his grandfather taught him. Fear is a weapon. Control it, or it controls you. He shifts his arms, feeling for weak points in the restraints. His pulse steadies. He will not break. Miles away, Everett receives a video message. Ethan, restrained but unharmed, his defiant eyes staring back at the camera, a voiceover in Spanish. Surrender yourself, or he dies. Everett Carter has spent his entire life defying orders. He's not about to start taking them now. Within hours, the team is mobilized. Bear secures satellite surveillance, tracking every known cartel compound. Rachel deciphers coded messages, pinpointing Ethan's likely location. George, their cyber specialist, hacks into Serrano's financial infrastructure, siphoning funds and exposing illicit transactions. The noose tightens around the cartel's throat. Ethan, still held captive, begins his own counterattack. He feigns illness, groaning in pain. When the door creaks open, a guard steps in, his weapon low, a mistake. A moment later, the man is on the ground, unconscious. Ethan yanks the keycard from his belt, shoving it into his pocket. He moves quickly, navigating the compound, marking exits, counting guards. He finds a storeroom, prying open a crate, ammunition, knives, radios. He arms himself, readying for what's to come. When the assault begins, he will be more than ready, and it does come. Before dawn, explosions rip through the compound's perimeter. Smoke and chaos consume the night. Everett and his team move like wraiths, silent and deadly, taking down sentries with ruthless efficiency. Inside, Ethan fights his own battle, disabling another guard before sprinting toward the rendezvous point. Gunfire echoes through the corridors. He meets his grandfather in the smoke-filled hallway. "Took you long enough," he grins. Everett smirks, wiping blood from his knuckles. "Was giving you time to practice." Serrano's empire crumbles within days. His lieutenants vanish, his assets freeze, his safe houses burn. In a final act of defiance, he tries to flee, but he's intercepted before crossing the border. Everett doesn't pull the trigger. He lets him live, broken, powerless, forgotten. The worst fate a man like him could suffer. Weeks later, Ethan stands on the porch of their rebuilt home, staring at the horizon. "It's over," he says. Everett shakes his head. "No, but it's quiet. For now." Bear joins them, arms crossed. "You did good, kid." Ethan nods. "Had good teachers." The world keeps turning. Somewhere, another storm is brewing. But for now, the ghosts of the past return to their shadows, waiting, watching, ready for whatever comes next.